Everyone, I wanted to give you a trading review for yesterday, March 22nd. I waited until the FOMC news event at 1 p.m. Central and wanted to provide a review of my trades, my overall thoughts, and identify areas of improvement or what I did well, just potential areas for growth. So after the news event, we had a pretty rapid move up. This was my first trade, just a test of the 377 tick op zone. There wasn't a lot of confluence in my favor, but based upon the candlestick structure, I went ahead and just took it. I am trading micros. I decided to size down so that I could have additional room for my stop losses because these types of news events require such a wider stop in many cases that I wanted to have the room that was required. So instead of trading one mini, I'm actually trading on sim on my leader account on NQ and then following on micros on my funded Apex accounts. So I popped my stop below the 50 EMA, got wigged out there, but it was definitely worth a shot with a mid-range level of size, just 3 micros for the setup quality. We did have the local bottom, major level, op zone, and higher lows, but the stochastics were just not really there yet. Okay, so we had the failure to break out of the op zone. You can see the first trade over there on the left. We started moving downwards, so I recognized bullish divergence off of, I think that was R1, a prior support level. So I'm looking for a 3-step shift, basically a higher low to be put in off this probe test. We get a good candle closure with a local bottom. I pop my stop loss below the low for the invalidation point, again entering with 3 micros here. You can see the delta on the bottom side of the candles being positive, showing that the buyers are stronger than the sellers at this point. We get good candle continuation with a 10-point candle there. So I went ahead and pulled 2 contracts right there at the top of that large bullish candle and decide to trail my stop, which gets wigged out pretty quickly. Hindsight in this, you can see that we still had upwards room on the stochastics, and apparently the buyers were in agreement with my position, so I think I should have been able to properly hold to target. Maybe that was a little bit of fear from trying to recover from my last loss, but definitely would have had the target fill on all contracts there. but it was a nice three-step shift with a bullish divergence break in the probe, retest of the probe, candle closure with a local bottom, good stochastic structure. The Stokes were kind of in the mid-level, saying that the sellers were not pushing it down. Fast Stokes came and curled up, good buying delta, and a strong move up after the higher low. Yeah, definitely should have held on to that one a little bit longer. Okay, trade number 3. So we had the three-step shift. Price is now changing behavior. We are starting to get large buying up. We only had one test of the op zone here, which was the first test. We never actually came back into the op zone, so I'm waiting for a pullback into the op zone, good candlestick closure. We put in a local low. I buy. The only thing I don't really like about this is my risk to reward is a little bit uneven. You can see my 15-point stop loss and 15-point target here. I actually am not at an invalidation point below the op zone, so I decided to push my target up. I think I pull my stop loss down a little bit. The Stokes are starting to turn up in my favor even more. I add to above the prior highs, but I actually think I close at this fib pivot level because I had somebody walk in or by my office, so I just decided to close the trade. Yeah, you can see I'm talking with somebody right now, so they walk by, so I just decided to close, and then we get the rip. Okay, so this trade's a little unique. Because I use a Guardian Angel trader software, I have a trailing threshold that will not let me lose $250 of profit after I'm over 750. Well, I forgot to turn that off on my sim leader account, and because I'm entering with minis on my leader, this trade pops up, puts me above 750, and then retraces a little bit and then closes me out. So I had to fix that issue, but right now we're looking at just another continuation of the op zone. Good stochastic structure, local low out of the op zone, and GAT closed me out just with that small little retracement. But this actually became, I think, the high, and then we started moving back down, so I wasn't mad about it overall. It was still a good setup that I would take every time, but that's just why the trade closed out so quickly. Okay, so we have a break in the trend. That last trade was way up here, put in some lower highs, and we started the down move, basically back to the opening range tune. So I'm looking for a continuation of the op zone because it works till it doesn't. So we are right at VWAP here, continuing to put in lower highs, lower highs. You can see the delta on the top side is not very strong, so sellers are definitely in control. The fast Stokes will start to turn over a tad with the Stokes, the slow Stokes in the mid-level. I get a test of this probe with a good local top. I go in for 4 micros, pop my target to overnight high, and pop my stop above VWAP. However, I want to make a note here. So the stop loss is above VWAP and the value area high from February 3rd, but we are not currently at an invalidation point. For the op zone play, we need to have our stop loss above the 50 EMA because this is not an invalidation of the trade idea. So what you'll see here is I'm reviewing this setup. I've got a 15-point stop loss already based on my ATM. So price will come up, almost touch the stop loss, and while this is happening, I'm telling myself I need to get it to an invalidation point. So I'm not moving it because I'm fearful of getting stopped out. I'm just trying to appropriately put my stop loss where it needs to be. I added 2 additional contracts, so I'm in for 6. I believe this is the largest size position of any trade that I do for the day. So I'm analyzing where my stop loss needs to go. You'll see it almost wicks me out. I pop my stop above the 50 EMA here in just a second. I think I tether it to it. Okay, so I attach it to the 50 EMA plus 1 point. So now I'm just going to let the trade work out. You can see the fast Stokes and the slow Stokes are topping out, curling over. I was reviewing to see if we were going to get a potential higher low here, but I was okay with the trade either way because we did have bull div. I move my target to overnight high for 5, and then I'll let 1 run to the opening range tune. And there's not really just anything you could to do. I mean, I had a phone call come in. In hindsight, I probably should have closed the trade, but I was really accepting whatever was going to happen. The 5 micros get filled. I attach my stop loss, I think here in just a second, to the 21 EMA plus 1 point. And I actually have to get up and leave my chair because somebody comes into the office. So the trade just either plays out or it doesn't. I'm okay with it either way. But you can see price breaks overnight high, failure to push up, and then we swiftly move into the opening range tune and target filled. Probably the best trade of the day for me here. Okay, so you can see that short right here. Now we are working in and around the opening range tune, getting some consolidation here, a push down, which put in bull div. Actually, I think we got 2 drives of bull div off of PP. So what I'm looking for is a higher low to get put in, which would be a 3-step shift off the line in the sand, which is prior IBH. So once we get the local bottom, I did not enter here because we did not close above the high of this candle. So even though this was a large candle, I went in, marketed in for 4, popped my stop below, I think, the line in the sand, which was the invalidation point here, even though we are getting a pretty wide stop, I think 59 to 33, so we've got a 26-point stop loss, but I'm targeting overnight high, so it is at least a 1-to-1. And you can see price will start working in and around here for a little bit, testing back on these lows. But the trade is uncomfortable at points, but not ever invalidated, I believe. Yeah, this was not a fun candle to sit through. So once we put in this additional higher low, I believe I pull my stop in right under this candle, because if I was wrong, I don't want to be wrong for 26 points. I would rather be wrong below this low right here. Then we get a push of stop losses, of shorts trying to continue here, and then we get a nice break of these stop losses, which I think pushes price up. I pull 3 contracts in, and then trail my stop. One thing I've got to continue working on is just letting the trades play out. It's not bad to peel, but I think I did it prematurely, because you can see we're just getting a stop run here of all these late shorts. So had I kept larger size on, my initial size of 4 micros, this would have been a much better trade, but the last target gets filled right below R1. So a beautiful trade, but I just need to continue being patient and holding on to these trades. Okay, I believe this is the last trade of the day. So there was a 3-step shift with the change in behavior. This now becomes the first test of the op zone. So we'll see that once price decides to put in higher lows and change directional behavior, this is sometimes the very first and strongest test of the op zone. So I'm willing to take this because of the probability on our side. I'm wanting to see these Stokes reset a little bit more. We'll come down and do a slight test off of this probe. So we have a lot of confluence, 7 check boxes. So I called this an A+ setup. Rejection off of R1, the probe. We'll get a good candle closure, and I will go in on the local bottom, entering for 4, targeting that fib pivot, popping my stop on the 50 EMA. There we go. And before I can even really work with my stop loss, you can see price is just already just ripping up with this momentum. I pull in 4 around that range high. We rip those stops, and I get a touch no fill, decide to go ahead and just close the trade at that market level. And I think price continues to rip up. So again, just working on holding these trades, yeah, you can see all these stop losses that were just run. So when price is in your favor in doing what you have a higher probability of doing, let the trade play out. That's something I need to continue telling myself. So that was the last trade. Overall, guys, I'm extremely happy with the day. I decided to properly size with the FOMC meeting, knowing that 1 mini would not give me enough room based upon my max daily loss, and decided to do micros instead, and the patience and sizing paid off. Thanks for watching.